Bonjour, welcome to the Calipolis. I believe the answer to our collective challenges right now is truth and love, so I'm posting videos sharing insight into how you might incorporate truth and love into your life using my personal experiences and worldviews. This is video number 2. On video number 1, last week I provided a crash course on Plato's Allegory of the Cave as a potential starting point for your efforts in incorporating truth into your life so you can view the world from a more truthful perspective. If you're not familiar with Plato's Allegory of the Cave, or maybe you just need a quick refresher, go check out that video because in this video and the next couple videos, I'm going to go over some real life examples and how you can incorporate, or apply rather, Plato's Allegory of the Cave to real life. Okay, so kicking off our analysis with a real life application of Plato's Allegory of the Cave, I figured we'd start with something safe, or something that everybody is pretty familiar with. In fact, I know you're familiar with it because you're using it right now. That is, of course, social media. So let's go back to Plato's Allegory of the Cave and imagine for a second that you are one of the prisoners in the cave, chained in darkness, staring only at the wall in front of you, watching images pass by, cast as shadows by the puppeteers behind you. Now imagine that instead of looking at the surface of the cave wall, you're instead looking at the surface that you're holding in your hand right now, your phone. Okay, so coming back to this diagram of Plato's Allegory of the Cave, the shadows are posts, reels, pictures. Everything you see come across your screen are shadows on the cave wall. So consider your experience right now in this moment, right? You're watching me, but really you're watching a perception of me, right? A shadow on the cave wall. This is a planned interaction as far as my efforts and my interests are concerned. I've thought ahead about what I want to say. I've shot multiple takes and picked a particular one for reasons unknown to you. I've got like 3 different filters on my face right now. My teeth are not this white. This is a perception of me. You are watching shadows on the cave wall. And take it a step further and understand that this is literally not me. Right? By the time you watch this, I'm off doing something completely different. I'm not here right now, but you are watching this. So I'm up here, okay? By the time you're watching this, I'm up here in real life. A particular version of me is right here, right? Cast as an object in front of the fire. What you're hearing, watching, absorbing, and interacting with is down here, a shadow on the wall, right? Twice removed from the real thing. And who are these guys in our social media analysis? Who are the ones putting the objects in front of the fire? The algorithms, right? So not only are you just watching a particular version of me, distorted perception of that particular version, the algorithms are dictating what goes in front of the fire, right? What gets in front of your screen. So why does this matter? Okay, why does any of this even matter? What's the point of analyzing this stuff? Well, if you're not careful, especially if you're not aware of any of this, you're putting your life at risk of being driven by the shadows. Yeah, that sounds kind of extreme, like putting your life at risk. I don't want to scare people away. What I mean is, all I mean by that is the consequences of your behavior is real life, okay? They're real life consequences. So you want the drivers of your behavior to be based on real life, not shadows. And if you allow your behavior to be driven by the shadows, right, not reality, then what happens is the outcomes of your behavior, real life, will have been based on not reality. And that's a really tough place to be in. It's not only confusing, but it's really not a useful way to look at the world, to approach life. So I think a really good example of what I'm trying to say here is that whole Tide Pod trend from a couple of years ago. social media had people thinking that eating Tide Pods was a good idea. It sounds silly, but it's actually a really good example of what I'm trying to explain. The shadows were driving the behavior that had real life outcomes, right? So social media, for whatever reason, actually it's a good exercise to think about what those reasons are, right? Why is it that social media was driving the behavior of eating Tide Pods? Like social media is largely driven by emotion. The algorithms want to keep you there. And how do they keep you there? Emotion, right? Those likes, those little dopamine hits, that's driving the behavior, right? And that had people literally eating Tide Pods, which had real life consequences, right? The consequences of eating the Tide Pod is not just kept on social media. It's not just in the cave. That's real life. People were getting sick. So I'm going to wrap it up there, but really start thinking about how, you might be doing it, right? Like the Tide Pods thing is funny and we all get it because, those are just kids, but you're probably doing this too, okay, in different areas. I think politics is a very common area of life where most adults are in the cave with social media, right? Like the people are posting on social media and absorbing things on social media based on the algorithms, right? Those little guys putting things in front of the fire to cast shadows on the wall. That's where people are absorbing most of their information these days when it comes to politics and public policy, right? But those things are driven by keeping you on the platform, right? It's largely emotional, right? My algorithms are, Instagram's cool, a lot of dopamine hits, but like Facebook for me, it's all rage bait, right? It's pure emotion. So if you're not aware of, the cave, you probably are basing a lot of your political opinions on shadows, right? And this is the part where people start thinking, their defense mechanisms start going up because people are like, oh no, it's not, that couldn't be me. Well, remember, not judging anybody. If you want to stay in the cave, totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're starting to feel that way, remember the first video, right? The pursuit of truth is painful. You will undoubtedly, on your path to enlightenment, get very uncomfortable emotions. Questioning, challenging yourself, challenging your ego is a requirement to leave the cave. And it doesn't feel good. When you're asking yourselves these important questions in this video and in any future video, just remember the truth can hurt, but it will set you free. I think I just found my outro. Well, I can't use it now because I just said it, but whatever. Peace out. All right, so I'm editing the video now, and there's a couple things I want to mention before I wrap it up. One is you don't have to abandon social media to leave the cave, okay? You don't have to stop using social media. I love social media. Don't plan on leaving it. What enlightenment is, what leaving the cave is just understanding things for what they really are, right? Having clarity. So you can still use social media, still interact with social media, still post on social media, but you're doing it in a way where you are aware of what you're dealing with, right? And the things that come in to your mind, into your life, you funnel it, you use it in a way that is conducive to your goals, right? This channel is about truth and love. So my hope is that you use that information in a way that loves things, right? Whether it's yourself, others, your creator, truth and love. But you do not have to leave social media to leave the cave. And the second thing I want to mention is, me posting on social media about social media being shadows. Like, the irony of that is not lost on me, okay? But, you know, if you go back to like the diagram, you know, Plato's Allegory of the Cave, remember in the first video when we talked about in Plato's story, how when the prisoner goes back to free his fellow prisoners, right? He escapes the cave, he achieves enlightenment, then he wants to share this enlightenment with his fellow prisoners and help them escape the cave, and they reject him. I think, and I don't know if Plato actually talks about this. I should look that up before I post this, but I think if instead of going all the way to the prisoners and telling them face to face, you should have stopped at where the puppeteers are and tried to deliver his message using the medium that his fellow prisoners were already comfortable with, right? So he would put the objects in front of the fire, casting shadows on the wall that he wanted the prisoners to see, that would be conveying his message that, hey, there's more to life than this cave, right? So it's kind of what I'm doing here, or at least that's how I like to think about it. I'm using the medium that everybody's used to and comfortable with to explain to them that there's that not all is what it seems.